Hey everyone, and welcome to Money Moves for Teens. My name is Talia Levy, and in this podcast, I will be talking about business, entrepreneurship, and of course, money. I hope you take something away from this episode and enjoy. It's no secret we can learn many valuable things from other people's experiences. Especially as entrepreneurs, learning from those who have come before you in the business world is an incredibly beneficial way to gain new knowledge. This episode, I'll be going over 5 different quotes coming from successful entrepreneurs. I'll give a little background as to who they are, then I'll further explain each quote and how it might help you in your life. The first entrepreneur in today's episode is Sara Blakely. Sara Blakely is the founder of Spanx, the shapewear company. She founded her company in 1998, and according to the Spanx website, she came up with her business idea because she didn't have the clothing pieces she wanted while getting ready for a party. Her quote is, "Failure is not the outcome, failure is not trying." She's saying whatever happens in the end should not be considered failure even if it's not the outcome you would have preferred. Instead, if you don't try at all, if you never experiment or attempt anything new, that's what she considers to be a failure. She's saying that you need to take that first step and find out where you land, because if you let your doubts, fears, or others' opinions stop you from trying what you want, you're never going to grow and improve. And the reason she puts such weight on this first step of trying is because sometimes taking that first step is the hardest part. It's not always easy, and I understand, but remember, failure is not the outcome, failure is not trying. The second entrepreneur on the list is Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss is most known for his famous book, The 4-Hour Workweek, which he released in 2007. He also has a well-known podcast called The Tim Ferriss Show that he started in 2012. His quote is, "You're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most." A source reveals that his high school wrestling coach said this to him, and he shared it with others since. So what does this quote mean? The words really come down to you become who you surround yourself with. Take a moment and think about the 5 closest people in your life. What do you admire about them, and what might you wish was different? Now, how many of those traits do you see in yourself? It makes sense that some of their traits would rub off onto you. Being around someone who constantly complains about their life could be draining you mentally without you even knowing it. Then you might start complaining more frequently in your own life. On the contrary, if you surround yourself with someone who is always supporting you and motivating you to do your best, you might reciprocate that same energy back to them and to others around you. Now that you have this information, you can start taking a closer look at your friend group, or as this quote mentions, the 5 people closest to you. Obviously, everyone has their faults, but taking a step back and examining the personalities, goals, values, and more of the people around you is going to help you decide whether they are people that you would like to share traits with. If that answer is no, then you may need to reassess your circle. So again, his quote is, "You're the average of the 5 people you associate with the most." Third up is the inventor and businessman Thomas Edison. I don't think he needs much of an introduction, but some of his major achievements include creating the incandescent light bulb, the phonograph, film, and more. Edison quoted, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." His quote connects to Sara Blakely's in the sense they both choose to look at failure different than the rest of society. I talked about the concept of failing when it comes to business in my 15th episode, and I said that sometimes communicating your failures to others is going to benefit them more rather than only hearing about your successes. I plan on making a whole episode on this topic of failure, but back to what Edison is saying, instead of looking at an undesired outcome as a failure, look at it as revealing what won't work. Taking science, for example, when running experiments, both your successful and unsuccessful trials will help scientists who come after you. Both data points are valuable. So instead of looking at your undesired outcomes as failures, which comes with a negative connotation, look at it as if you revealed something that won't work for the future. It's that simple mindset switch that can make all the difference. To recap, Edison's quote is, "I have not failed, I've just found 10,000 ways that won't work." The fourth entrepreneur in today's episode is William Rosenburg, the founder of Dunkin' Donuts. Rosenburg says, "Show me a person who never made a mistake, and I will show you a person who never did anything." He's saying if someone claims they've never made a mistake, they haven't really done anything in their life. Life is filled with so many ups and downs, and the only way to grow is to try new things. And what that comes with are mistakes. If you're running a business, you have to constantly be adapting and changing to stay relevant over time and continue meeting the demands of your customers. And through this constant change, mistakes are inevitable. So if you're not making mistakes, you're probably not doing much in life. If this sounds like you in any way, then let this quote be motivation for you to try new things and make mistakes, because that's how you learn. So William Rosenburg's quote is, "Show me a person who never made a mistake, and I will show you a person who never did anything." The last entrepreneur on today's list is Mary Kay Ash. She's the founder of the beauty company Mary Kay. She quotes, "We must have a theme, a goal, a purpose in our lives. If you don't know where you are aiming, you don't have a goal." Her quote is very clear and straightforward, but how might this relate to you all considering starting or currently owning a business? Well, one of the main things you need to establish when having a business is your why. How are you creating value in other people's lives? You may choose to carry out this task a number of ways, but establishing the goal or purpose of your business is crucial in knowing your direction. People will see successful entrepreneurs and state, "I want to start my own business." While I and many others definitely encourage that, hence one of the reasons I created this podcast, you still need to consider why you want to start a business. Your goal shouldn't be to start one just to say you did. It should serve some purpose. What problem are you fixing? And this is one of the first, if not the first factor you need to consider before starting a business. So Mary Kay Ash is saying you need to have a goal and purpose throughout your life, and this is definitely true. But also note this quote applies to different areas in your life, such as starting and running a business, as I just went over. I plan on creating other episodes in the future about goal setting overall and when it specifically comes to your business, so let me know if you would be interested in that. To recap, Mary Kay Ash's quote is, "We must have a theme, a goal, a purpose in our lives. If you don't know where you are aiming, you don't have a goal." So those were the 5 entrepreneurs and their 5 valuable quotes. I think this episode is incredibly motivating, and I hope you feel the same way. There is so much more advice to go around, and next week I can create a part 2 to this episode and go over even more quotes that we can all learn from. If you enjoyed the takeaways from this episode, let me know in the reviews or through my social media, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to listen to this week's episode and learn something new. Feel free to reach out to me with any questions through my Twitter at MoneyMovesForTeens or through my Instagram at talia.simone_. If you decide to follow, you will be notified every time I release a new episode, and I do frequent polls about my podcast so you all can be part of my podcast decisions, such as choosing episode topics. If you are more of a visual learner, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel where I create animations for these episodes. It's the same great information, just in a video form. If you would like to continue building on what you learned this episode while supporting my podcast, in my descriptions I always have an outline and discussion guide. You can also go to buymeacoffee.com/TallyLevy and access them through the shop section of my site. Print out the guides for your favorite episodes and talk about them with friends and family. Also, if you like Money Moves for Teens, be sure to give a rating and share it with those who will benefit from the information. I hope to see you next week. Bye!